now I get to end with an awesome storyteller. When I asked her and said I had about 25 minutes, well, she's already told me she's gonna do just what she has, and so that's great. And I said, Claire, she said, you didn't mean me to have 25 minutes, did you mean me? And I said, yes, I want you, Claire. And I heard Claire the first time and just laughed and laughed and hooted and hooted and hooted. And like, I tried to find her and I could never find her. It's like, I've got to find her. And then Jessica Robinson had said, well, there's one person I would also recommend, and that was Claire. I'm like, yeah, I'm like all over it. And then I was like, I want to hear Claire tale. So I'm going to shut up because I really want you to hear Claire, and I want to get as much of her as we can. And this last part of our evening, I'm just looking forward to Claire Castell from Walnut, or who lives now in Walnut Creek, California.
All right. Well, thank you. And great story, Ben. You're my favorite guy. Love it. Well, as you may have heard, a friend of mine a couple of years ago was listening to me tell a story about being in a gang when I was 13. And she said, well, that's so weird because you look so sweet and innocent. I can't imagine that. And I said, well, that's weird because considering the life of debauchery I've lived. And so that spurred me on to write a few stories about my life of debauchery. And I'm just going to do two of them tonight. And the first one is called The Swinger's House. I was sitting in a Silicon Valley yuppie fern bar with Marty, and we're both miserable, and we're sipping our umbrella drinks, and Marty's a thin guy with a receding hairline and glasses. He's a little nerdy. He's really nice, though, and he's definitely a friend, though. And Marty looks up, and he says, I've got it. Let's go to the swinger's house. Now, oddly, that seemed like a good idea to me at the time. My boyfriend, Arthur, had just left me to sail around the Caribbean with a 20-year-old secretary. I was 29. I was on the brink of middle age, and I was shattered. Marty was Arthur's business partner in a small architect firm, and he had invited me out to commiserate our respective loss of Arthur. Marty was, oh, it's no fun in the office without art anymore. And then I'm, oh, I'll never find love again. Well, the swinger's house was a notorious place in San Jose, this was the late 70s, mind you, and it's rumored to be the place to walk on the wild side. And, this is kind of interesting. It's going to be a Playboy style mansion with lush gardens and pools and beautiful people and glamour and maybe even someone to love. So that Saturday night, I got in Marty's Mercedes and I wore my best bright bell bottoms and platforms, and we drive to this neighborhood in the Almaden area of San Jose. I hadn't been there before, but the first thing I notice is all the houses are stucco, and they're all different shades of beige. We've got sand beige and shiitake beige and baby poo beige. This house was big, but it was no mansion. And so we go inside and the interior was beige. The artwork looks like it was stolen from a Best Western, a Don Quixote and cowboys on horses. This was really not the Playboy mansion I was expecting. There's not even red velvet wallpaper anywhere. Now, this was the kind of place you didn't put your keys in a bowl, but you did have to come in couples, and then you were supposed to go around and meet people and choose who you want to get to know. Now, we're a little awkward. There's a large swimming pool outside, we noticed, which is steamy hot, and it's covered in clear plastic tenting and that wonderful smell of chlorine. And there's about 15 naked people in the pool. Now, these are normal people with normal bodies. We've got paunches, we've got love handles, we've got sagging breasts. These are not Playboy bunnies. But, you know, the pool seems to be the easiest way to meet people. Because, you know, it was kind of awkward to start up a conversation. So we go out there, but we don't know where to take our clothes off because there's no clothes in the pool. So we sneak off, we find a bathroom and we get undressed and we wrap my towels around her because I've got stretch marks and cellulite I don't want anybody to see. And we slip into the pool and we, you know, start talking to a nice little couple. And I'm going to call them Ted and Alice. Is this your first time? Ted says. Small talk, you know, as I say, really awkward when you're naked. And Ted and Alice, again, are ordinary people. And I don't really feel any great attraction to Ted. He's average looks. He's kind of like a young Kevin Spacey. But I was really too nervous or scared to shop around for somebody I was more attracted to. And Marty really liked Alice. So we decided to go explore the bedrooms. We grab our towels and we went into the house with them. And I'm not really feeling it, but maybe things will get sexier as things progress. And we walked down a lot of bedrooms, a long beige hallway, lots of bedrooms, and some doors are open because some people are actually, you know, watching other people. But Ted and I, we went into a room and we closed the door. Now, there's rocket ship wallpaper on the walls and Tonka trucks and stuffed animals on shelves. So this did nothing for setting the mood. But we did decide to give it the old college try. Well, but a few, try this and over there, no, a little lower, maybe a little faster. And, you know, it just wasn't working. And it was clear it wasn't working for Ted either. So he says, I wonder where Marty and Alice are. And so we go out and look for them and we find them and it looks like they're doing just fine. But I don't want to pair up with anybody else. I wasn't feeling that great about that experience, but I explore the house and I go downstairs in the big den and there's this huge bed and lots of naked people doing various things to each other on the bed. I go, oh, is this sexy or is this horrifying? But somebody beckons me in, come on, this will be fun. I think, oh, okay, maybe this will be sexy. Now I'm laying there and there's body parts all around me and I know I'm supposed to be doing something with them. And somebody starts to twist my breasts like he's trying to tune in Radio Free Europe. Ugh, yuck. Well, I jumped up, went to get my clothes. There was nothing sexy about this. I found Marty. I made him take me home. This evening did not cure my heartache about Arthur. You know, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but impersonal sex just can't heal a broken heart. It made me feel worse, it made me feel empty, and it made me feel something else. It made me feel beige. Thank you. Now, some years later, I've settled down a little bit. It's the early 80s. And I was still single, divorced, and raising my 11-year-old son. Now, you know, I was working mom, high-tech job in Silicon Valley, and then getting him to back and forth to school and after school sports, getting him to do his homework, all the duties. I don't have to tell you parents, all the duties of raising a kid. It was hard work. But all my friends are out partying because they're mostly without kids or single. But I had to be responsible, and I was a little bit jealous. Now, at this point, my ex-husband and I decide that it would be good for Matt, my son, to live with him, at least for a while. He lived in Eureka, which is about 7 hours north of the Bay Area. And, you know, he needed some fathering. It would be good for a boy, all of that. And I drove him up there, and I cried. But also, I had some other mixed feelings. I also thought, now I can be wild and crazy. This was going to be a summer that I had free, and I could do anything I wanted to. So there's nothing I love better than dancing and costumes. So I auditioned for the Renaissance Faire. And in no time, I was lacing up my bodice to cantilever my breasts up. And for our first show as the Merry Pranksters, and we were an English country dancing troupe. And the reference to Ken Kesey is no accident. I drove to Black Point for 6 weekends and danced 5 shows a day. Oh, and if you don't know what English country dancing is, it's kind of like square dancing, only maybe combined with minuets. It's a little more stately, but it's still done in a formation. And the world of Renaissance Faire is magical. You know, down those dusty streets, you have actors and musicians and dancers, artists, costumes. We all had to speak in English accents. There were pageants. Every character had a name. I be Mistress Ann Bates, in me husband be Master Bates. You know, a lot of that corny Renaissance humor. And on any stage, you'd see Queen Elizabeth or Sir Walter Raleigh or Morris dancers, and of course us, the English country dancers. But the nights, oh, the nights. We all camped out in little tents on Actors Hill. And we came down at night, all the customers are gone, and we would listen to music, we would eat, we would flirt, we would dance, and we would listen to storytellers. Now, one of the men in my troupe was a young guy. His name was Randy, he had blonde, tousled hair. And we had kind of enjoyed dancing with each other. We called him Randy Randy. The first weekend, I snuck off to his sleeping bag. And Randy was from the LA group that originated this troupe, and they're all about the LSD. So he says, hey, you want to try this LSD? Yeah, I'd never tried it before, and I know I'm a lightweight. I said, well, okay, but I'm only going to take half. Well, I'll tell you what, the trees lit up with bright halos around them, and people, the halos like you see on Virgin Mary in the Catholic churches, just glowing. And it was really, well, trippy, to not coin a phrase, but it was scaring me a bit. I really didn't think this was the drug for me. Now, 2 weekends later, I'm seduced by Michael. He's a dark-haired actor. And when he quoted the entire Queen Mab speech from Romeo and Juliet, I was a goner. Oh, I see Queen Mab hath been with you. She is the fairies' midwife. And I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I love Shakespeare. His tent, Michael's tent, was out in the parking lot. So we go out there and spend the night, and we try mushrooms. I've never done mushrooms, and smoked a little dope. You know, and I don't know if you've done this, but mushrooms made us laugh so hard and smile. My cheeks hurt. And do you ever have that? Oh, just painful. That was fun. I haven't done that since, though. But I was having the summer of my life. And the last weekend, Danny, the drummer, came up to me and says, I've got something you like. There's this new drug, it's called MDMA, or they're calling it ecstasy. It's supposed to make you communicate well. You know, they're using it in couples therapy. Yeah, I kind of knew what he meant. Well, we go back to his tent, and it really did open me up. What was the term? Verbal diarrhea. I talked and I talked and I talked, and I couldn't shut up. And then Danny would lay me down, try and get romantic. And then I'd pop up and I'd be blah, 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 blah. Don't you think cats are spiritual beings? I think there really might be angels, and on and on and on. And poor Danny, he didn't get anywhere that night, and I could not shut up. But clearly that's not the drug for me. Well, it's at the end of the summer now, and my son moves home because his father's parenting skills not so great. His father had to take a job that he traveled, so my son came home to be with me. And my Ren Fair summers were at an end, not all that crazy drugs and sex, but I was really happy to be back home again with my son. You know, I'd been searching for this new me, this wild and crazy Claire. But, you know, this responsible mother me was just going to be fine. I was going to be happy to be a good parent for as long as I could. But I'm really, really glad that I had that wild summer of sex, drugs, and English country dancing. Thank you.
Oh, that was great. I love that. Sex, drugs, and English country dancing. That's, you know, everybody's desire on earth is to have that. You know, not rock and roll. Are you serious? It's English country dancing. Oh my gosh.
I'm weird. I'm weird.
And I just have to say, I'm glad I never took ecstasy, because I don't think I want to be verbally opened up any more than I am now. And
It really might not be the drug for you either.
It would not be the drug. Thank you for letting me know that that would not be the way to go. And I will tell you, Claire, isn't it funny how we look back at our life and go, Lord have mercy. And yeah. And then as you get older, your child comes to you and tells you something. And I don't know what it was like with your son, but I would have to act like I was shocked and surprised. Oh, how could you? That's awful. Yes. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's it? That's how you do it?
I haven't seen half of that. Yeah.
Claire, you are a delightful teller, and I love to hear you tell, and I love the lessons that you share with us as you just share. And I think that's just an awesome thing that you give us, is you give us this this genuine story with all the laughter and the funniness that you can look at in hindsight, but all the lessons that we can take together right now. And that's good. And my line for the night is, it turned me beige. I just think that is such a powerful line. It made me feel beige. That one's going to come out more and more. I think that's just such a powerful line, you know. And then Mish put on here, being beige is not being your best. And I agree, but that just that concept, that feeling, you expressed it so well. Thank you, Claire.